Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Redman. Welcome to Pastor's Library. This is the channel where we discuss everything to do with theology books, and we try to scratch your itch and help identify books that might have piqued your interest, or maybe books that have been on a reading list for a seminary course or for your bachelor's or master's degree at university. Whatever it is today, we hope to find something that will help you, and if we do, please like it, please subscribe, and please click on the bell, and that way you'll get to know next time we release an episode of Pastor's Library. I'm trying today to deal with a question that's been sent to me, which I realised was actually a very, very important question. And the question was this: how do I use a commentary? Well, I think this is something that we can overlook. We can think, oh, you need to get a commentary on that, and then not give anybody any pointers. The thing to question also is why you need the commentary. You see, sometimes we're talking about doing a little course with a house group, say on the Gospel of Luke. Someone will say to you, if you've got a study Bible, read the notes at the bottom of the page. And of course, study Bibles are very helpful for having a mini commentary on the bottom of the page. But because bottoms of the page are the bottom, there isn't a lot of space. You get a minimal input to you from that. And of course, depending who's written it, you will get their perspective and maybe not someone else's. Then there are the one-volume commentaries. Commentaries like the New Jerome Biblical Commentary, or the NIV Bible Handbook, or the Wesley one-volume commentary. There are a number of good ones out there that have something to offer. And these will maybe be divided into books, so that they'll start with Genesis, go on with Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and so on. And these things will have a certain number of pages to deal with the book, and they will hopefully help you through. But the problem with that is that if you want to know exactly what Jeremiah 29 verse 11 means, then your one-volume commentary might not even mention that. So you have to look a little bit deeper. So when people are talking to me about how do I use a commentary, I think they've moved beyond that and have got something that they are holding in their hand and want to know what to do with it. Now, if it's a starter commentary, something like N.T. Wright's New Testament for Everyone, John Goldingay's Old Testament for Everyone, or the new one from Scott McKnight, which is the Everyday Bible Study Commentary. These are very accessible, and they're really only one step up from a one-volume commentary. And in fact, in some ways, they're often more accessible than a one-volume commentary. One or two of the one-volume commentaries, like the New Jerome, can be quite technical in places. But here, for example, in the Luke one by Scott McKnight, there is the story of Elizabeth's pregnancy, and he goes into a little bit of the background and the ideas behind the conception story of Jesus. And this has something to offer for everyone. And it's absolutely great to read if you're going through, say, Luke's Gospel in a house group. Something like this, I would suggest anybody can delve into. If you can read, you can read one of these. These are very good. And whether it's the Tom Wright, John Goldingay series, or whether it's Scott McKnight, these are all excellent commentaries as a starter. But I think the person who sent me this request meant something a little bit more like this. One level up is the Abingdon New Testament commentary on Luke. This one's written by Robert Tanhill. And this is a typical commentary, single volume commentary. I mean, this one is 378 pages, and it covers the whole book of Luke. And what this will do is it will give you an introduction, which might be an overview of the book, a little bit of background to the book. It will probably tell you a little bit about who we think wrote the book. It'll probably tell you a little bit about when we think it was written. And any particular context of it. This is the first few pages in any commentary. And you might say, well, I'm not bothered who wrote it or when they wrote it. Well, maybe not, but it is an academic pursuit to come up with these answers. And when you've got a book that says it's called Luke's Gospel, it's interesting to know if it was written by Luke, which I'm quite convinced it was. But you'll find that type of thing usually at the start of a commentary. And then you will get to chapter 1. And chapter 1, you will find, is the pattern follows throughout the book, that it will start by the first couple of verses and talk to you about that, and it'll move on to the next couple of verses, and the next and the next, and you generally get through to the point where it's got through the whole book, and you've done it a verse or two at a time. Now, you might find that if it's your first journey into a commentary, that this seems a big leap up from what I've mentioned previously. And it is, because this is assuming that you can be studious and sit down and read a book. Because this needs to be read at a slower pace. It is a book that has more detail in it, and you may find you're reading to the bottom of the page and you're going straight up and reading it again because you realise you've already forgotten some of the things that were there. But if you are studying for an academic diploma or degree, then this is something you just have to get into. Because when I went and back and did my Masters in Theology in 2010, I had a big leap because I'd been out of university for 30 years. And it was a huge step for me to go back and write academically. And I went through the first 3 months of this degree thinking, I can never do this. I went home to my wife and said, darling, I think I'm going to have to give this up. And she said to me, Stephen Redman, you're a clever man. You regurgitate the word of God to people every week. You study it hard. You can study these books too. With her encouragement, I not only carried on with my Masters and came out with a good Masters, but I went on a lot further. And the truth is, I have continued to study at Masters level ever since. And if you've seen my library tour, you know a little bit about my addiction to theology books. So what I would say to you is that you use a commentary in the various ways. You want to know the background to the book, start at the beginning. If you want to know particularly what it says in Luke about Luke chapter 4 verse 7, then you look for Luke chapter 4 at the top of the page and spin pages till you get to verse 7. And my advice is read the immediate bit before, then read the bit you want, because the two will often be connected. And you gain access to what the author is telling you about chapter 4 verse 7. This is just a great symptomatic way of reading commentaries. I've got some commentaries that are 1,000 pages, or certainly almost 1,000 pages. I don't just sit down and read them from cover to cover. I dip into them. And commentaries in general are designed to be dipped into. The Tom Wright, John Goldingay, For Everyone series, the Scott McKnight Everyday Bible Study series, you can actually read those from cover to cover. Something at the level of this Abingdon commentary, you could even read this from cover to cover. But even so, I would suggest in general, you would probably go directly to the part you want. But some of the other more technical ones, like Darrell Bock's Luke, which comes in 2 volumes in the Baker Exegetical Commentary. This is just covering the first 9 chapters of Luke. And it's huge. It's very detailed. This has a great deal of technical support in it. This is a really, really good commentary. Someone, when watching my library tour, said they were a shock to find I hadn't got that. So I've been out and bought it. It just took someone to be shocked with me. But seriously, commentaries like this, these are ones where I want to know about Luke chapter 4 verse 7, and I turn up Luke 4 verse 7 and I go straight to it. I'm not quite sure what this is going to say, so let's see what it does say, shall we? Luke 4 verse 7. It says, Satan's condition is that the Son renounce his allegiance to the Father. This is dealing with part of the temptations of Jesus. He is to bow down and worship Satan, an act that would not require just a momentary action, but that would change his life. And that's got 2 pages, basically, to deal with that one verse. And this is what you call detail. This is what you call a real technical 1-volume commentary. And commentaries like that, they really come as academic or technical. Academic means that you need to have a little bit of thought behind them. Technical generally means that there's some original languages in them. But you believe me, these become tools that you can become friends with. And I find it great when I have time to wander through my commentary range. When I'm doing a series on a particular book, I will study a number of commentaries before I even start what I have to say. That is not to say that I won't do a lot of praying and seeking God about what he wants to say, but I do believe that we have giants that we can stand on the shoulders of, and that ignoring commentators just to pray, I think sometimes that's like God saying, why are you still sat on the roof of your flooded house when I've sent a guy past in a boat and a guy with a helicopter? You know the story. You know, the truth is, we have got these great guys and girls over the years that have written fantastic works, and why shouldn't we plug into them? Sometimes when I read something which I think, no, I don't agree with that, that helps me, because I now know, no, I don't want that. I don't want to refer to that in my preaching. So it works both ways. But what I would say to you is commentaries have a lot to offer. So in that just short diversion into how to use a commentary, I hope that's helped you. If it has, please like it, click the thumbs up, subscribe and click on the bell. And that way we'll let you know whenever we release a new Pastor's Library. Until the next one, God bless you and bye!